that I completed the original trilogy, the Jurassic Park original trilogy, I felt it's only right that I complete the Jurassic World trilogy as well. And so I decided to just end the whole thing before installment number 7 comes out. So I decided to rewatch Jurassic World, and my opinion hasn't really changed since the first time I watched it, and that is, to me, this was a fun but overall disappointing film. Now, obviously, it's nowhere near, the first movie, but I say the second movie is what I'll be comparing this to because this is better than Jurassic Park 3 in my opinion, but it also does suffer from some of the things that made Jurassic Park 3 an underwhelming movie. But there are some enjoyable moments, far more enjoyable moments in this film than in the previous installment, which was Jurassic Park 3. So, the one thing I did not like was the genetically modified dinosaur. It's just an enlarged raptor. It's more like if you photoshopped a raptor, and made it size big, that's what it looks like, almost. And I just didn't like that. I mean, that's and also the whole premise of the film that the thing was created because people were bored of dinosaurs, which I found hard to believe. It was kind of hard to believe that people would get bored of dinosaurs. That was a bit weird to me. And why would you give a dinosaur that's made for public display the ability to camouflage? There were so many things that had holes in this film, and it's also blind, so its vision is based on movement, I guess. So if you stand still, it wouldn't know where you are unless it sniffs you out. So it's basically like a T-Rex. So why couldn't you use the T-Rex? there's a cameo appearance from the T-Rex later in the movie where Bryce Dallas Howard outruns it wearing high heels. There's no depth to any of these characters. They're all one-dimensional. Bryce Dallas Howard is the business lady. Chris Pratt is the animal-loving Navy guy. There's a villain that's just straight up from a cartoon where his entire plan is to use raptors in military and hunt terrorists in Afghanistan. In terms of the silliest moments, in Jurassic Park 3 will come the top first, where the raptor just goes Alan. The second one has the girl doing gymnastics to kill a raptor. And here we have a guy who wants to use raptors in military to hunt terrorists. Where do these people find such stupid things? They appoint one overweight security guard for one of the most dangerous animal there, and they can apparently know what a tracker is. It hunts for sport, which was fine, I guess, but there wasn't really anything to it. You could have just gone with the T-Rex and removed some of the subplots leading up to the Indominus, and I think people would still have been pleased with the product. And speaking of subplots, there are so many unnecessary subplots in this movie, with the kids in this movie being completely unnecessary characters. Like, they give these two kids an entire backstory about divorced parents and everything, and none of that plays into the story. And this movie again does the mistake of treating these dinosaurs like monsters. This is just a straight up a thriller movie, and this is straight up a monster movie. They do not behave like animals at all. None of this felt like an animal behavior. Felt more like a monster behavior, and I did not like that. I liked the image of Chris Pratt riding alongside raptors, but the whole thing about them being used in the military, that was a whole thing. Yeah, those are pretty much. Oh yeah, Irrfan Khan is in this movie. Rest in peace. But he is one of the most underutilized characters in this film. He just comes and goes, and when I watched it for the first time, I was really excited to see what Irrfan Khan is going to do to this, because he's the new CEO. Is he going to be the new bad guy? Is he going to be the new John Hammond type of character? I was really excited when I watched it for the first time that, what is this character going to do in this film? He just flies a helicopter and dies. That's his whole contribution. He is so underutilized. At least it's better than his role in The Amazing Spider Man, but still, uh, you have an actor like Irrfan Khan and you underutilize him. But I am thankful that he doesn't have that stereotypical Indian accent that I hate at this point. I am glad that people of my country can speak normally in Hollywood films now, because you don't see much of that stereotypical accent in this film, like the ones you see in The Simpsons. So I'm kind of glad that that is going away now. At least it's fading. I am happy about that, but I am sad that Irfan Khan is underutilized. He doesn't have any role in this film. Those are all the things I didn't like. But I wouldn't say that this is like the worst film. It is an enjoyable film. Like, it's still like the thriller aspects are really fun to watch. The performances are fine, but the characterization was not. That's my whole problem. Like, the casting in this movie is top notch. You have Chris Pratt, who again delivers after Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie comes out after that movie. I think the first Guardians of the movie comes afterwards, and I think he does a good job. And Bryce Dallas Howard again, performance wise fine, but the execution was off. And there were times in the movie when I watched it for the first time that I thought she was really the villain, because dinosaurs are eating people and she still hasn't called anyone or shut down the park. And despite all of the chaos in the first movie, I don't know if this movie counts the second one, but despite all of the chaos in the first movie where the T-Rex was set free and everything, T-Rex broke the fence and everything, the electrical problems in that first movie, they still have very piece of shit fences, and they let their customers roam around the dinosaur park in a ball, unattended. There's very crappy cell phone reception in an island filled with dinosaurs. Like, the safety measures on this island is still a piece of shit. You'd think they would learn at this point, and I don't know legally how this would ever come to fruition, but I kind of like that this is John Hammond's dream realized. I kind of like that they went forward with that. But the way they went about it was a bit off. Like, it wasn't the best. It's still better than Jurassic Park 3, and I will stand by that. It is way more enjoyable. And the best part of the movie is the T-Rex fighting the genetically modified dinosaur. Alongside the raptors. That's the most entertaining thing in this movie, but it's sad that you have to wait until the climax for that to happen. But it's still the highlight scene of the movie and one of the best climax of the film. And those are all the things I like about it. But as you can see, it is an enjoyable movie, but it doesn't have that rewatch value. To me, this is the third best Jurassic Park movie. Jurassic Park, the first movie, is still number one for me. The second movie, again, comes a close second. I haven't seen any movie that topped it. And this movie would come a close third. Now the other two movies are the ones I haven't seen yet, so I will watch that and let you know in the next videos. It is an enjoyable movie, and you have to let go of some stuff. There are clear and obvious flaws in the film, and it's not a movie that if I was given a choice, I would want to watch, because there's no rewatch value. If you've seen it once, that was more than enough for me. And the characters are not that memorable. I had to IMDb them just before recording, just to know what their names were, like Owen and Claire, because the characters were so one-dimensional. You wouldn't remember them until the next movie where you had to look at IMDb again. It had one of the biggest box office openings, and it took 14 to 15 years, I think, since the last installment to give us this movie. So I kind of like that they were able to deliver with what they were given, because this movie had a lot of pressure prior to release. First of all, there's the writer's strike. There were a whole lot of debate over who had to get the rights to this film, the story. Then you had to deliver on the third movie. It had to be better, and it had to do something new. There is a bit of over-reliance on the CG, but again, I think they look good for what it is. It's still a very enjoyable venture, and if you haven't watched it yet, I do recommend you give it a watch. It's there in the OTT platforms, and before the 7th movie releases eventually. My prediction is that it might release somewhere in 2024, 25, because obviously they're gonna squeeze this out as much as possible. But yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, I highly suggest you do. I do think that this is a very enjoyable one-time watch. I am excited to see what they would do the next two movies, but I heard very bad, response. But I'll check it out nonetheless. I want to complete this franchise, so yeah, I guess I'll see you there. And yeah, I recommend you watch it if you haven't. If you have watched it, then skip it. It's not really not memorable, but it is enjoyable enough, I guess. All the alcohol is in my liver. I guess I lost and you're the winner. Missing your touch, you were a good kisser. I was born a saint, but now I'm a sinner.